Many of you might have heard about the word democracy. Did you ever thought about it? What is democracy? What it actually means? And where does this word come from? My major is philosophy, and I ask myself these questions all the time. It is very fascinating because whenever I ask myself about these questions, I learned something new. So, according to Merriam Webster, democracy literally means government by the people. Today, I'm going to talk about three famous and different eras of democracy. The three different eras of democracies are Greek era, Magna Carta era, and modern era or the era of United States Constitution. So let's start with the first Greek era. According to education.nationalgeographic.org, ancient Greeks were the first people who developed the democracy. In fact, the word democracy comes from the Greek language. Demos means people and kratos means rule. Demos, kratos mean people rule or rule of people. The first democratic state on the face of the earth was in Athens around 500 BCE. Now we move toward the second era of democracy, which is known as Magna Carta era. According to Parliament.uk, King John became the King of England in 1199 AD. At the beginning of 13th century, King of France invaded his country and took some part from his country. So King John wanted his country back. And for that reason, he needed to wage a war. For war, he needs money. So he imposed a really heavy taxation on his people. So in 1215, before that, people revolted against him because of that high taxation. So in 1215, the King John and his people came to the terms and they wrote the magnificent document which is known as Magna Carta. This was the document that provided the base for coming generations to develop more profound democracies. Now we move toward the modern era. The modern era or the era of United States Constitution. According to archives.gov, in 1770, more and more colonists have become have become more and more colonists have got the idea that the Parliament of UK have intended to take away their freedom. In 1775, the King of England declared in a state of open rebellion as for colonists. In early 1776, Thomas Paine wrote the famous pamphlet Common Sense, and it accelerated the movement of freedom. In 1776, July 4th, 1776, the Congress declared the independence. And in September 1787, the Congress wrote the Constitution of America. This was the first document that described the modern day human rights, and it reshaped the democracies, the concept of the basic democracy around the world. In conclusion, today we have discussed about the famous eras of democracy. The first era, the Greek era, the second, the Magna Carta era, and the third, modern era or the era of United States Constitution. Now that I have told you about these three famous eras, I hope you have now have an idea about what is democracy and how it has shaped the world and evolved the history of the world. Thanks.